Hello, this is Colonel Barker and welcome to another Starcraft 2 commentary. This game is going to be between Whitra and JYP. This is the third game in the series, which is a best of 3. And so far we're sitting 1-1, so this is the decider game. It's going to be fun, fast and furious. As I said, I'm Colonel Barker. In the top left-hand corner here we have JYP as the red Protoss player, and in the bottom right-hand corner we have Whitra as the blue Protoss player. Both players, fantastic players, managing to keep up with each other, you know, without having a clue what the other person's doing. Now, we're on the map Ohana. This is one of the very first games I've seen on Ohana. It's not a particularly popular map, but it seems to have that mirror matchup quality, you know, not just in terms of race, but in terms of position. Both players know where the other player has spawned, so it's going to be interesting and fun to see. The first two games have been very intense and could have realistically gone either way. Whitra being a bit more of a maverick, coming out with expansion just that bit ahead of JVP, but JVP deciding he wants to punish Whitra because of it. But you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But of course, you know, if your opponent in a mirror matchup gets one expansion ahead of you, you know, they've pretty much won the game. JYP coming out with his extractor, and Whitra coming out with his extractor very shortly afterwards. Feel free to let me know in the comments whether you have been enjoying these mirror matchups. Some people find them not very exciting. I mean, I can see why. You know, there's slightly less to talk about in these kind of games. You know, they are intense games, but often there's not much to say when both players are doing identical things at identical times. Whitra coming out with the cybernetics core, and JYP coming out with his cybernetics core. JYP's scout slightly ahead of Whitra's, coming along, having a look, and he will not be at all surprised what he's seeing because it's a mirror of his own base. And of course both probes having a bit of a play. Whitra taking away one probe to try and take out JYP's probe. Similarly, Whitra's probe about to enter JYP's base. You know, it's interesting just even looking at the way both players mirror the way the probes go. And he is going to have a similar kind of issue, I imagine, or JYP just not particularly bothered. JYP's probe still about. Similarly, Whitra's probe just looking around. So we've got a probe coming. We've got warp gates coming out. We've got stalkers coming out. You know, for the first 5 minutes, it's near enough the same thing. But you know, I felt it was important. JYP keeping a probe inside Whitra's base. Whitra doesn't tend to do these kind of things because they tend to get knocked out quite fast, and as soon as that initial unit comes out, in this case a sentry, then, and I imagine the sentries, the reason the sentry's first is just in order to block out any potential stalker coming in. Actually, I lie, a stalker came out first, I even mentioned it. Stalker knocking out that probe. Poor probie. I knew him well. Whitra sitting at the Zolnaga Tower just to watch for any potential pushes. The second one just so that as soon as that push comes he can quickly react. Well, not quickly react, but so we've got time to react. And I wouldn't be surprised if this probe instantly starts running away and tries to get outside that vision, as you know, and possibly even sneaks back again. Again, Whitra, PVC, PRs. Sorry, JYP, PVC. What is this? The plumbing guy, the man made of plumbing. That's a terrible name. Why can't it be called Davros or something? Constant looking around, you know, looking for hidden expansions, looking for pylons which could be used for warping in an army. Or not necessarily a huge army, but you know, whatever's left. So Robo Bay coming out for Whitra, and interestingly, no, this is the deviation I've been talking about. The deviation that comes about 5 minutes, you know, a minute and a half ago. I should have pointed out. A handful of Phoenixes and a Stargate, and I think it's going to be in JYP, not PVC's, best interest to make sure that Whitra does not know about this so that he cannot build units. I mean, already, look at this, Zealots, Immortals, not exactly the best anti-air units out there. And although Whitra is going to spot this, no, he pulls back. Whitra has spotted this, and what's he going to come out in response? Whitra cancels his oh dear, I know about speaking today. He cancels his giant unit, the big dangerous one, I forgot the name of. He cancels his Colossus. God, don't take me a minute to think of. He cancels his Colossus and comes out with a whole bunch of Stalkers instantly, and those Stalkers will be enough to keep those Phoenixes at bay. Now the trouble is, of course, is that now JYP has spent his resources coming out with a Stargate rather than Gateway units, which puts Whitra in something of an advantageous position, because he has more of those stronger ground units. So JYP, coming up with that expansion, he's going to try and compensate as quickly as possible to build up a faster economy. Now, whether Whitra decides to react to that, and knowing that he's now slightly behind in terms of minerals, and he's coming with expansion, which puts him slightly behind for a little while longer, whether he's going to try and punish him, I don't know. On the other hand, JYP is keeping all over the map, anything that will prevent, he's running all over the place with these Phoenixes, because anything that he will do which will keep Whitra busy and prevent him running back and stopping this expansion. Having seen Whitra begin to pull out JYC, or JYP, oh god, this is such a terrible name, JYP has withdrawn all his units to the front of his base in order to prevent Whitra getting through, because if Whitra gets through and takes this expansion, he has got the series. Even pulling those Phoenixes back, knowing that this army is gone, he could sit there, potentially bring those Phoenixes down and knock out a bunch of probes. And Whitra is pretty much going to stay one base. It's over 10 minutes into the game and he's not expanded. And he's just not going to be in a position where he's going to be able to expand and survive in this game. He's put up a pylon here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a pylon here, so he can very, very quickly reinforce. And depending on how the result of this battle impact is going to decide the entire match. The match is going to be decided by what happens right here. And it's reasonably close. I think they're sitting about the same number of Stalkers. I think Whitra is slightly ahead, but I think he's pulling back. He's waiting for his next level of his next number of warpins, and he knows he's going to have slightly more warpins than JYP, because he has spent his money on this expansion rather than troops. However, force field at the ramp is going to prevent any more units coming in, and Whitra calls the G, the game, the good. Well, that was close, and that could have gone either direction. I think it was really just those Immortals that did it. So close, right down to the wire, right down to the last second. It could have gone either direction. If Whitra had pushed through and taken out this expansion, then he would have been in a position to prevent and just continue with his advantage. Okay, I hope you guys have enjoyed this series. There's the best of 3, PvP. If you enjoyed that kind of thing, let me know. And if you haven't, then I will stop and do something else and do Minecraft digging hole games.